Why is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
I can't hear you all of a sudden. It says very good network for both of us. I'm just good. Yeah. Now, yeah, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? You heard that? Thank you. Okay, that's all I need. Like, you keep talking, but I can't hear anything. Again, you're saying words that I cannot hear.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
I've been trying bone broth this week, though.
For what?
It's
Because you don't cook.
I don't know. It's supposed to make me healthy. Well, I don't cook, but I've been cooking because I've been doing this like weird thing. But it's not really cooking. I've been grilling chicken.
I guess the question is, what have you been using the bone broth with?
No, you're supposed to. It's like a health craze. I don't know. It's some whatever.
it
It's
is.
supposed to
Okay.
make you healthy to drink. You're supposed to drink a cup of it in the morning and a cup of it at night. I can't do that. I'm doing like half a cup. And I don't
Okay.
think I'll stick with it, but I'm trying it.
It seems like a lot. Do you warm it up?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So it's sort of a soup kind of thing.
It is. It like tastes like
Uh,
chicken stock or
I was gonna say,
something.
like, you're kind of draining the bottom of the.
Yeah,
Is it salty?
it's not no,
Because
not
like
nearly enough.
broth can get. I feel like broth is like super salty,
Yeah, it's
and then
not.
whenever you're
It's
cooking it,
it's
you're like,
not.
you gotta mentally do the math and remove.
Mm,
Okay,
No, but
interesting.
it's a valiant attempt. I'm proud of myself for trying.
No, I was expecting you to. I thought for some reason you'd be like, well, I was doing some sous vide and or I was
Have you
braising this.
have you met me?
No, but that's why I was like, what are you doing with
No.
stock? That's not like a
No,
everyday.
I went to this adorable little local business called The Palate Pleaser that's all prepared foods, and I bought some already
Mm,
grilled chicken breast called Spa Chicken. That was the best pre-cooked chicken I've ever had in my life, so I'll give them that, and some spaghetti
cool.
squash, and then
Mhm.
I bought a pint of their bone broth, which was in the back, not in the fr not like my friend had bought, and she's like, "You have to ask for it." So because it was like,
Oh, that was good.
I don't
Yeah,
know, and
because it's
it's
left over from
supposed
the rendering and yeah.
right, it's supposed to make you healthy and thin, and I don't know, celebrities do it, so I have to try it.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Just follow the lead of others.
Yeah, Fedra's illegal now, I have to find other options.
How much of your career has been banging your head against the wall, dealing with censors?
It feels so good when it stops. Well, at the time, it was real. I mean, it's not so real anymore because SNL changed a lot of that because they could do stuff at 11:30 at night that we couldn't do at 8 o'clock, and then cable came in, and that changed the equation again because shows that do not depend on commercial sponsorship don't have to worry about that. They set their own standards. It started with HBO. I did the first big variety show on HBO was a Bette Midler concert that they taped. And we went to HBO because we could do our show. She didn't have to change it. When we did a show on NBC, we had to pull back a little bit because because there was NBC, because somebody from Kraft Cheese would object, and they were footing the bill. So at the time, it was there were jokes all over the place. I mean, we used to throw things in. I mean, more than actually dirty words, because we knew about dirty words. But they were just like corporate references. Nobody could take a jacuzzi, for example. You had to take a hot tub. So whenever we had a scene with a hot tub, I would say, "Come, let's have a hot tub. My cousin's in town from Coos Bay, Oregon." I just wanted to get Coos in there. You couldn't say nothing was ever Xeroxed. It was photocopied. I mean that some of that stuff exists to this day because now, of course, there's product placement where they actually pay to have the can of orange juice, with the label out in the middle of the shop. But it was different back then. You had more strictures. And when I did the Oscar show, Mrs. Futterman, the ABC censor, was there, and she always kind of favored the writer. She wanted to get the joke across. It was weird because the comedy got censored more than anything else. I mean, on the Oscar show, they would show a clip of a picture that was nominated, and it would be the most violent thing. And then they'd cut to us, and they said, "No, I'm sorry, but you can't say tits."
Right.
I mean, it's like the apotheosis of that was the Super Bowl where Janet Jackson showed a nipple, and everybody went wild. And it was followed by a commercial for erectile dysfunction.
Right.
That's okay. Kids can see that. God forbid they should see a nipple.
Well, nipples are scary things. Those boobs, I don't know.
It was strange. It was strange, but at the same time, we were having fun because, that was built in. It's what you can't say. We tried to work around it. They often say that a lot of the old movies were clever because they couldn't come out and say and show what they wanted to, so they had to find crafty ways around it. And I think there's a certain degree of truth in that.
I would agree with that. Definitely.
I mean, some of the times it wasn't too subtle, like, in North by Northwest, where Cary Grant and Eva Marie Saint are going to be sleeping in the same upper berth, and as he's climbing up there, it cuts to a train going into a tunnel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did that. I mean, obviously, I think he did it deliberately because he wanted to say, "See, you won't let me show what I want to show, so I'll do this classy thing."
So with your writing career, one of the things you're best known for is you worked on the Oscars for years. You've written for the Emmys. You've written for the Grammys. I think have you done the whole EGOT of writing?
I am the EGOT of award show writers. I've done them all. Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, Tonys. I'm your man.
Now, what's that process like? I think you were writing the year that Jack Palance won, correct? And I mean, how does something like that, that happens in the first, 10 minutes of the show, and then you keep working in callbacks? How does that whole process go?
Billy Crystal was hosting, and we always give, there are only 4 acting categories, and so those are the only ones we are guaranteed to have, hopefully, people that the audience knows in winning situations. So you try to put one up front. One of the supporting actor awards is the first one, supporting actor and supporting actress, and so it was the first award. And Whoopi was presenting it because she had won it the year before for Ghost. So she came out to present it, and Billy had done his monologue, and I think he probably had done the medley of songs that we would always put together, songs that would have been in the movies that are nominated if they had songs. And Whoopi came out. Now, Jack and Whoopi Billy had made a couple of jokes about Jack in the monologue, and of course Jack was in Billy's movie City Slickers, and that had been Billy's doing. And so when they announced the award, when Whoopi said the Oscar goes to Jack Palance, Jack came up, and the first thing he said, which nobody remembers he said, is, "Billy Crystal, I crap figured that." So right away, starting on a high moral plane, and then after a few minutes, he proceeded to decide to show the audience how virile he was by doing one-arm push-ups on the stage. And Whoopi is standing behind him, with the trophy girl, and they're kind of looking at each other going, "What the fuck is this old man doing?" And so we're in the wings with Billy and Robert Wall who was the other writer on the show that year with me, and Steinberg, Billy's manager, and we're looking at this, and Billy says, "Well, we've got to use this." So we kind of systematically, whenever Billy had a chance, got rid of whatever dialogue, whatever joke we had planned, and put in a joke about Jack, about what Jack was doing. We had a thing with the astronauts giving an Oscar to Jack that just rendezvous with the space station. We had a number with a lot of children, and Billy said Jack is the father of all of those children. And it just kept going on and on. So finally, his other manager came out of the audience and said, "How many more of these are going to do? I'm running a pool in the audience. I'd like to win." And what it did was it reinforced the spontaneity of the event, that it's real, it's happening in real time, and people all around the world are watching it. And just like you are at the party, that's the great thing that the host of that kind of a show does. Makes the audience feel like, the audience watching makes them feel like they are all a part of one big thing that's happening live at that moment. And we won the Emmy for writing that show. So I won 2 Emmys for writing 2 Oscar shows.
So is that the only kind of writing you do on the day of, where you're working in topical things, you're working on stuff that happens during the show and the rest of it's scripted?
Yeah, a show like the Oscars, everything is cast in iron before the thing goes on, because people are very concerned about what they're going to say, how they're going to come off, because everybody watches, Yeah, Sally Fields, they liked me, they really liked me. And she eventually monetized it by doing a commercial for Visa about it, because she's brilliant. She monetized her arthritis with Boniva. I mean, I got to hand it to Sally. She's no slouch. Pretty much everything is signed off on and planned ahead of time. The only thing that's genuinely spontaneous are the acceptance speeches, and that is where you get to work off of stuff, depending on what happens when people accept their awards, that you can give to the host to use as they go on.
So one of the things that I just went and revisited Get Bruce, prior to our conversation, and got to see a little bit of the just sort of behind the scenes of just how many things you're juggling at any one time. And when did you know you had that ability to switch hats, to switch voices, to come up with something on the fly? Was that just intrinsically in you your whole life, or was it through your experiences that you?
Basically, it was. I made faces in the mirror, and I was a child actor. My parents encouraged it because I was happy doing it. And they only wanted me to have something else that I could fall back on, because they were scared of a performing career. And so I took up journalism. I took up because it was writing. It was the other side of all of that. So I guess it's just, who I am. And came from I don't know where. Although, I'm influenced by my family, obviously. My mother's side of the family was hilarious. They were absolutely hilarious. There was actually one stand-up comic, my Uncle Mickey, my great-uncle Mickey, a Catskills comic. He wasn't a successful Catskills comic, but he would, get into the Packard and drive up into the mountains on the weekends in the summer and do gigs. So he worked, but it never amounted to anything, although he was a fabulous guy. But he was just imitating who he heard in the family, and they all had incredible timing. They were funny, but my father's family was very, very, very doer and scientific. He was a doctor, and his parents were both doctors, and they were not like class clowns. My mother's family was all class clowns. So I got a lot. I soaked up a lot from them.
Well, even the way you're sort of not beholden, but the way that's the terrible word, because I don't think you're beholden to anyone, but the way that you are willing to work with the different people that you love to work with, whose style is so different from, whether it's Whoopi and you're throwing things back and forth on the phone, or someone else who's just write it and send it to me and then we'll edit in the room later, or whatever that is. To have that ability to be so creative and be so flexible, I can't even fathom.
And I'm lucky. First of all, if I look at someone like Neil Simon or not even, screenwriters, playwrights, people who have to create all of the character up out of their head, they're really starting at ground zero. I am handed a persona, or if they don't have a stage persona, it's harder because I have to craft something for them. But basically, I have a handed persona. And in that regard, I always joke with Bob Mackie, it's kind of like he has a woman who comes in who has no idea how she looks, and he has to figure out a look for her, as opposed to, or Cher, who comes in and knows exactly how she looks and what she wants to have look like, and he's allowed to go fantastic on her because she knows who Cher is, you know. Right. So a lot of people, when I work with them, someone like Johnny Depp, when has to come do an award show, there's no Johnny Depp character. Billy, Whoopi, Bette, Robin. I used to joke Shirley MacLaine knows who she is when she's on stage. She knows who she was. So any of these people who are variety performers have a stage persona, but actors don't. Michelle Pfeiffer does not have a stage persona. She's just a different character. Kathy Bates is somebody else, somebody different every time she goes to work. So you have to take what you know are their strong points. Kathy happens to be very funny on her own. I mean, she has incredible comic timing. So anything you give her, she can make work. Michelle, not so much. I mean, she has to do it. It has to come out of character for her. And she's very funny in movies like Married to the Mob and The Witches of Eastwick, but it comes out of the character. And it's hard to give somebody a character to present the Oscar for art direction.
Yeah.
Right. You're a homeless woman on the subway. Now read the nominees. Doesn't quite work that way.
No.
Going down that list of names, I mean, it's insane the people you have collaborated with and written with. When any of them called you for something, is there one person whose voice just you're able to slip into much easier than others, or is it always a little?
Well, I'd be crazy if I didn't say Bette Midler, because we've been working together for 50 years, which is strange because she's only 38. But, you know, I've been working with her for so long that I get her voice. The interesting thing about that is, obviously, she's changed over the years, you know, pardon me, but not just being older, but at the beginning, I mean, she was the Divine Miss M, and you can take that character so far. It's not terribly becoming on a woman 70 years old. However, it's almost moot because the way her career has gone, she worked up to a point, and then she became a movie star. And for 10 years, she didn't do any live work except a couple of benefits. And then we came back with a big tour 25 years ago called Experience Divine. And a whole audience was seeing her for the first time, in addition to her audience that always had come to see her. And, of course, they regarded her as a big movie star who sang huge ballads like Wind Beneath My Wings.
They're in for a shock.
And the crowd that was there before, pre The Rose, you know, knew her as somebody who was filthy and funny and you know, off the wall and crazy and wild and all that stuff. So it was interesting to watch how things changed. So obviously her voice changed. I mean, she could slip in and out of the old Divine Miss M, and that became something that we do. But we used to make fun of her speaking very high-minded, which, of course, you know, I mean, she would lapse into that, which was in contrast to the street kind of stuff that she would say. Now that doesn't work as well now because everybody knows that she's, you know, that she's not that. Mm-hmm. She's rich and famous, and she doesn't have to pretend. Anyway, I'm not saying this very well, but it's been interesting how her voice has changed. Her stage persona has changed over the years.
And it seems like kind of more recently, I mean, you've always had sort of sideline as acting in various projects or popping up in things. But I mean, you played Broadway in Hairspray, was it 10 years ago? Something like that. Is that something you always wanted to do, or was that
absolutely from the start? And it happened because of Hollywood Squares. When you're on television every night, for 6 years, they come to you with bizarre offers. And one of them was to audition for Hairspray because, well, this was for the national tour where they thought that I would be an asset because I was a television star. So I went on the road for a year, and then I went to Broadway for a year. But it was something I always wanted to do, star on Broadway, and it was incredible. I would do it again in a minute. And it happened 20 years into a career, which is very strange. But I'm happy it did. Yeah. 25 years into a career. It was, it was kind of great. And people, interviewers would say, "Did you always want to do this?" I said, "Yeah, I always wanted to do it." I said, "But obviously it wasn't the prime motivator of my life, or I wouldn't have waited until I was 57 years old to do it."
Right.
Hollywood Squares, did you ever get tired of hearing Bruce Vilanch for the block?
Or was that just...
No, I mean, because it means you're on camera. No, it's my favorite thing. And I was, they put me to the left of Whoopi, which is, if that's possible. Because she and I had a thing going, and it was a square that gets called on more. I mean, if you ever watch the thing, Siberia is the top and bottom rows on the side, or the top and bottom. It's strange because they tend to go to cluster around the center square. Everybody has to go to the center square. That's why the star is in the center square. You almost have to. I mean, mathematically, I think it's most of the wins or the blocks have to go through the center square. So something like that. I forget what the math was. In any event, so I was, and you'd see we would move people around because the odds of them getting picked in different squares were stronger. But I never got moved. They wanted me next to her, so worked for me.
Yeah.
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 So does your closet still look like it looked at the opening of Get Bruce?
Well, I've moved. I sold that house, and I'm now in a condo. So I do have a closet like that. It's not, and it's a walk-in closet, but that was like you could sort of live in that closet. It was one of those huge closets. But yes, it does. There are about 1,000 T-shirts somewhere around in the house. And I have about 4,000 more in a lovely home for aged T-shirts in the San Fernando Valley.
So I love that your T-shirts have their own home, that the aged T-shirts have their own home. But secondly, I have to admit, when I saw that scene, it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen, because my closet, I have an incredible walk-in closet, but it is full of dresses and workout clothes, and they always fall on me when I'm trying to find them. And no matter how hard I try to organize them, there are too many of them and they attack me. And to see that you were attacked by your T-shirts made me feel I was not alone in this world.
Mine are not organized. That's my problem. I'm not organized.
Is there one that's on more rotation than others these days? Is there a particular shirt that's the favorite child?
I mean, there's some that go into summer reruns, but I haven't been out of the house. I haven't worn pants 4 times since March 12th. So, I mean, I have some for Zoom, but I do actually have one that I was going to wear if we were doing this, if we were Zooming this, which was it's a Christmas theme. It's 2 trees. One has no decorations, and the other one is completely decorated up. And the tree with no decorations is looking at the other tree and says to
That's a fantastic T-shirt. We missed it.
So you're working on your memoir now, correct? Is it?
Yeah.
How's that going? Are you finishing it up?
Oh, I'm slogging along. It took me forever, and I mean, I've been doing it off and on for years. It took me forever because partially, I'm still working, and so I don't want to you get into that mindset where okay, now I'm just now we settle all debts, Michael. Get into that mindset, but and I found a way in. I mean, when I decided I wanted to write about these terrible television shows, I thought, okay, that will make it different from everybody else's, and because God, everybody has a memoir now. I mean, it's just it's crazy. I mean, people who you would never expect. He says, "Oh, he's writing a memoir about that, is he? That's interesting."
So is it focusing mainly on the variety show kind of era of your career?
So far, but we'll see. You know, I got miles to go before I sleep.
That sounds amazing. But you're talking to two people who long for the return of Circus of the Stars. So
Yes.
Well, I've got stories about that too. Actually, that's in the
Oh.
crop of the worst shows of all time.
Oh, but it was so good.
what's can you give us one?
You know that when you have paint thrown at you by PETA that you've crossed the line.
No, there's that. All right.
So do you write on Circus of the Stars, or you just?
I did. I wrote
hanging
several
out
Circus
with
of the Stars. I don't know how many there were. I didn't write. I wrote maybe 3 of them, I think, and which was ridiculous. I forget. I wish I could remember. I have to look it up to see who hosted them. I'm thinking Dick Clark may have hosted them, but maybe not. I don't remember who actually hosted. I remember some of the guests who were on it. I remember, God, well, okay, maybe I don't remember.
I have vivid recollections of Mary Hart doing a trapeze act.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't think that was the year I did it. It was a very glamorous woman from Dynasty named Tracy something.
Oh, Scoggins.
Tracy Scoggins. Yes, she did the trapeze act, and there was a guy who was on. His name was Colonel, Curnal. He was on Head of the Class, and then the two of them did the trapeze, different trapeze things together, but they didn't do an act together. They each worked with trapeze people.
Yeah.
And Linda Pearl, she wasn't the line tamer. It seems to me like someone like Sally Kirkland or somebody really brave was did the lion act, and Linda Pearl did an elephant act. I forget. What I do remember is that the trapeze people had to come in 6 weeks ahead every day and rehearse. And the lion people, anybody working with the big cats had to come in. And I mean, so it was really a commitment. And the bizarre part of it was they really wanted to do it. You know, they wanted to be on the flying trapeze, and they wanted to be in the cage with the big cats, and it was like it was some kind of lifelong dream of them to, I mean, my idea of running away to the circus would be like Jimmy Stewart in the clown makeup in Greatest Show on Earth. No one will ever find me here.
Never.
Or I would be one of those Spangled girls on a wagon waving, like Dorothy L'Amour. I wouldn't actually be doing anything that involved skill.
You can follow us on all the various socials. Our website is whythepodcast.com and has all sorts of additional stories and videos. It's also where you can sign up for our newsletter. We're also on YouTube, if you're into that kind of thing. And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, because if you don't, we'll call your mother and tell her that she's completely right. You would look so much prettier if you smiled more.
Why the Podcast is part of Mudhouse Media. Today's show was produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our graphic designer is Samantha Mustonen. The theme song was performed by the Electrosynth-O-Magnetic Polyphonic Orchestra. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?